finding myself in a headspace now where I'm really realizing that you definitely have to just make the time for yourself. Because the thing is, nobody else is really going to do it. Like, nobody else is going to make the time for you that you need to make for yourself, in the sense of nobody else can really give yourself that attention that you're looking for other than yourself. You know exactly what you need. And it's different, like, when we're talking about physical attraction with, like, a partner, or, a friendship, where it's like a mutual bond, where you're the thing that you're craving is a bond of sorts. The thing you're craving is an exchange of ideas, like, or the sharing of an experience. That's different. I'm talking about those things that you kind of crave internally, where you feel like you need to recharge, or you feel like you need to escape, or you just want to, like, be alone for a bit. I don't know if everybody feels this way. I don't know if everybody has moments like this, but I know I do. And I know that when I don't actually pay attention to those signals going off in my brain telling me to retreat for a bit, to spend some time in solitude, to seclude myself for a bit and really tap in with myself and recharge, when I ignore it, or when I just, I kind of push it to the side because I'm so involved in my life, with the irony in it being that I'm not involved with the main character. I'm involved with everybody else. It's like you almost neglect yourself to fast forward to the next part of your life. And it's like you're watching a movie, but you're not really watching it. You're just skipping through it. You're just, like, in the rush to the next thing and the next thing and the next. And you don't really take that time to just kind of bask in your own existence, like, to literally just sit and be like, what? Oh, whoa, I'm alive. Like, you just always, it's just a thing of always stimulating yourself and kind of almost running from the fact that you exist, or almost running from your own self-maintenance. Like, you'll take care of so many other things outside of yourself, but at the end of the day, you can only take care of something as well as you take care of yourself. And the more I realize it, the more it seems to be true, in the sense of, the better I take care of myself, the more that I pay attention to taking care of myself, the more I pay attention to the details in taking care of myself, the more I pay attention to the details in taking care of not only other people, but other things. I take better care of my room because I realize how it has an effect on my psychology. I take better care of my friendships because I realize that, and even just random people in the street, I take better care of them and I treat them with more respect, because I understand that the depth that exists within me that I understand is equal to the depth of their own being. It's not a matter of me being this deep person and somebody else is shallow. Even if they appear shallow, they are deep. There's not a single human that exists that is purely shallow. There's depth behind every single one of them. But you only know that depth as well as you know yourself. And that's where the idea of, I would say, that seclusion comes into play. And then even with, like, the internet, it's like with social media, like, it makes it easy to connect with people, but it also just makes it easy to just spit out mind garbage all day. Like, Twitter is probably, like, I could never really get into Twitter, but I feel like Twitter's the perfect example of just, like, mental throw up. Like, at any given point in time, like, you could have a thought, and without thinking twice about it, you can share that thought with thousands of other people, and they could talk about that thought. And then it just becomes a thing where it's like everybody's talking about thoughts, but you never really consider or think about the fact that you should not be consuming that many thoughts on a daily basis, because your brain is already conjuring up thousands of thoughts. So you're basically taking those thousands of thoughts and then matching them with another person's thousands of thoughts. Then there's 1,000 opposing thoughts on that thought. So you're left in a space where you don't really know what to think, because you're just overwhelmed with information. And you kind of cling to a few pieces of information that make you feel good about your paradigm, and then it turns into you just posting things mindlessly without really embodying what you're talking about. So now you have an activist page, but outside of that activism page, you're a dick. It's like, yeah, it's like you're posting all this activist shit, but, like, in real life, you're a dick. Like, that doesn't make any... The first step to any form of actually making progress should be embodying the thing that you want to see, embodying the change you want to see. And it's hard when you're making content because it's so easy to just get into a headspace where you just want to spit out the first, profound thought or the first topic that you think of or come across. You just want to like share it right away. And I feel like that's why I haven't been making videos as consistently lately in this point in time in my life. It's because I don't want to just keep saying shit without really having embodied and lived and just to be a daily reminder of what it is I'm talking about. And just that alone makes me so much more selective of what I say or when I say what I say. Because before I say anything now, the first filter that goes through my head is this even how I live? Like, for me to be saying this, is this how I live? Is this how I think? Or would I want somebody to look at me that way? Or like whatever the case may be, where there's more of like a second thought behind everything I do now. But it's not the type of second thought that feels like self-doubt. It's like the second thought that feels like a pause. I just feel so much less impulsive. And I feel like a lot of it just comes from spending more time really trying to just embody those positive things that I've been consuming as opposed to just sharing them right away or just embodying lessons that I learned without sharing them right away. And I still want to share them, but I'd rather share them in a different way. And I feel like that's what I'm trying to figure out. I've definitely also noticed just in general with social media, like, it's weird. I'll find myself wanting to distract myself, and then I'll be upset at the fact that I'm distracted. Like, I'm almost too aware of myself to allow myself to do certain things, but I don't have enough self-control yet to do those things or not do those things. So it's like I have enough awareness to know I should be in the gym like every day, every other day, right? But then I don't have the like discipline, I guess you can say, when I really don't think it's just purely that. Well, I just don't have like maybe the gym's a bad example. Boom, scrolling on my phone. So I know scrolling on my phone is bad. Like, I know just sitting there just mindlessly scrolling and consuming content and then scrolling through comment sections, just scrolling, just reading other people's thoughts and other people arguing and shit. Like, just reading all of that and just consuming it for hours. I know that's not good for me mentally. Like, you're not about to sit down and read a bunch of people arguing and then come out of that a happy person. It's just not possible. Like, it's literally just not possible. And if you are happy, you're happy from some twisted or contorted way of just making everybody else miserable by arguing with them. Like, you're not about to read arguments all day and like debate all day and watch like debate content all day and then go out and not start debating people. And it's just not possible, bro. It's literally just not. And when I catch myself like scrolling, I'll be like, fuck. And I'll still keep scrolling. But then I'm thinking about the fact that I'm scrolling. And then that just creates a whole snowball effect of thoughts. So what I've started to do is just learn to admit when I'm not ready to deal with some shit. So it's like, if I know with everything going on in my life, I'm not going to be able to apply the mental focus necessary to manage a healthier relationship with social media, I'm just going to cut it off. Like, I'm just going to not use it. And then when I feel like I'm in a place where I can better acclimate myself, then I'll start using it again. And it'll be easier to go about it. And I feel like just learning to kind of surrender to certain obstacles and knowing like, yo, I got to go level up and come back. Like, when you're playing Dark Souls, you don't just fucking run. Unless you get to a really high skill level, you can't really just run through that whole game killing every single boss one shot. It's just not possible. In your first playthrough, you're going to come to the first area. You'll fight the first boss. He'll probably kill you. Then you'll realize, damn, I got to level up. I got to get better gear. You'll go level up. You'll get better gear. Then you come back. You're stronger. And then you beat that boss. But the only reason that you beat that boss is because you had to learn to admit that there was a thing outside of yourself that you could not beat until you got better material to do it. And life is the same way. It's like, if you know you can't currently handle even having access to Instagram, then maybe just delete Instagram. But then instead it just manifests as like an awareness for that. So then it turns into, you post on your story, not going to be on this for a while. Da da da. Don't hit me. Da da. Like some weird like cryptic. I'm trying to give you a vague idea that I'm on to. It always manifests in that type of way, as opposed to just embody it. Like just embody that awareness. Embody the fact that you have a problem with this app. You're going to get off of it. It's very rare that you're going to post some shit like that on your story and people are actually going to text you. And even if they do, they're probably going to DM you, not thinking about the fact that you just said you were deleting the app. Like, so it's just not even worth the headache. You're just better off trying to really just embody the thing that you want to see or the change you want to make, as opposed to talking about it right away. Like, you say you want to lose weight, and as opposed to embodying what it means to do that, first thing that we do is we tweet about it, or we tell everybody that we're cool with about it. And it's like we're just constantly raving on and on about how we're doing this thing, but we're not really doing the thing. Even if we're doing it, we're not fully immersing ourselves in it, because we're not embodying what it means to do that thing. We're just doing it so that way it's a display to the person that we said we were doing it to. So when you say you're being healthy, now you're extra mindful of being healthy around certain people because you told them that, as opposed to just embodying being a healthy person and making healthier decisions. And I feel like embodying those things is just a much more sustainable long-term goal, as opposed to just telling people you want to do it or talking about doing it. Don't get me wrong, talking about doing something does give you that, like, it gets you amped up or whatever. Like, it helps kind of bring that reality more to the forefront of your existence. But at the same time, I feel like talking about things can also put a damper on things you want to do. Because the moment that you release a thought of your own, it's no longer your own, because it's subject to being manipulated by other people. If you have a certain dream in your head and you release it and you mention it, it's subject to being manipulated by other people. But if you just embody your dream and you just live it and you just pursue it that way and you just think in that realm and you only really speak on it when necessary, your dream will be a lot less like manipulated from outside influence. Obviously, if you trust somebody enough to like share your dream with them, go ahead. But the thing is, sometimes you're sitting at work, you're talking to a coworker, and you're telling them about your whole life dream and purpose, and you don't know what they have going on in their head, and they could just say the smallest thing. It could be negative, it could be positive, it could be whatever, and that just slightly deviates your goal. And then you share it with somebody else, or they share it with somebody else, and then that deviates it more, because the conversation always comes back to you in some way, shape, or form. Now you're thinking twice. You're not just thinking about what you want to do, you're thinking about what the people around you think about it too. And yes, we can develop the quote-unquote mental toughness to the point where we don't let that influence us. But why would we even allow ourselves to be in the realm to where there's the possibility of it having the chance to influence us if we could just avoid that by embodying it? If you just embody what you want, then you never have to argue with people to begin with, or you never have to actively ignore somebody anyway. Because it still takes effort to ignore somebody else's opinion or perspective. You still have to try to harness your energy to focus on your own. But that energy would be yours to begin with if you just embodied it. So with that being said, yeah,